Hey Pat, great to see you. You're looking good. You're looking festive. You got your fall colors on, and here we are talking about the Halloween franchise.
Oh my goodness, this is my favorite time of the year. This is the coziest franchise. I love these movies, and I'm pretty excited to get on Remainders and talk with you about this. But this is a franchise that you and I have talked about for many years, and like you were saying, we're not going to be pitting these movies against each other. This is a franchise that I have nothing but admiration for. So even the ones at the very bottom are absolutely movies I'll be watching my spare time because that's how good they are.
There's something about this franchise. You're right. It spans basically our entire friendship. I'm pretty sure we were talking about this
Oh yeah.
franchise when we first met. And the funny thing about it is, I was watching Halloween Ends for the first time last night, and I was like, I have to see them all if we're going to be doing this. And
Yeah.
one thing that kind of got to me when I was watching it was like, this like officially made me feel like it was Halloween season, you know?
Mm.
There's something about it, like when it starts off and it says Haddonfield, Halloween, and then you see, what's happening in the town. It kind of really does put you in the Halloween spirit, at least for me, and I know for you as well.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a Halloween in my household without at least watching a few of the sequels. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to go see the original here in Chicago at a theater. There's always going to be like either the Logan Theater or the Music Box or even the Gene Siskel. They're always going to show the original at some point every October. But for the sequels, it's always a minimum of a few each year that I get to revisit. And that's what I was talking to you about. I watched Halloween Ends, so I'm excited to hear what you thought about that. It's been a pretty hot take and divisive one on Twitter so far. But I was watching that and just and then revisiting a few scenes from other ones, and I was like, "What? We definitely need to show our rankings because that's been pretty popular on Twitter and everywhere on social media. Everybody kind of sharing like what sequels that they like the most, which ones they flipping hate. That's what's kind of great about this franchise is it seems to unnecessarily create a lot of anger from its fans, which I think is fun to hear, but at the same time it's I get disappointed because there's a lot of hate on some sequels that I absolutely love.
I would say we should probably do a disclaimer here too, because of the fact that like I think some of the hate comes to like when we start to talk about Halloween 3, when Michael Myers isn't part of the franchise for whatever reason, or if it's like, you know, doesn't really focus on him as the character, which everybody wants to see Michael. And I think that may have a little bit to do with what happens in Halloween Ends. So we should probably disclaimer at this point. I think we're going to talk about what happens in Halloween Ends. So if you haven't seen it yet, maybe come back to this episode. I really don't think we can get around talking about it, Pat. So
no, spoiler heavy. And if you don't want to hear that, you can maybe just skip a couple minutes and go past Halloween Ends. I'm always fine with spoilers, so yeah, we're going to be definitely
yeah,
talking
no,
about
I just
that.
think we should at least tell people that, hey, we're going to be talking about it, because at this point,
Yeah.
all of the old ones I'm sure people have seen. Like you said, they do show all of the Halloween movies, at least they used to, on like AMC. Like they would do like Halloween Day, here's every film in the franchise that like at least was under the AMC like legal umbrella that they could show. And so then, you go from the original all the way through probably like Resurrection or something. Um, always excluding the Rob Zombie films, which I'll talk about in a minute. But maybe we should just get into the rankings and kind of get down. I really don't know what I'm gonna see from you, and if we're gonna have anything that gets together. But I'm excited about this. So
Yeah.
anybody else that's listening, I think I can start if you want, and I'm just gonna roll through my list, and then we can talk. Or how did you want to do it?
Well, I had a suggestion. We both have 13. We're including you saw it Halloween Ends, so we're each at it. So I'm up for anything, but I think a good way to go about it was to share our 13 each. And we start rolling through 13, 12, 11. And then once we get to a point where both of ours is named, that's when we talk about the movie.
So you want to start from the end first. So we'll go like towards
Start at the bottom,
favorite.
and then let's say I have X, you have Y, and then my 12, if that matches yours, that's when we talk about the movie.
Okay, so you want me to start with my least favorite film in the Halloween franchise?
Yeah, we're starting at the very bottom. And like I said, you're going to share yours. If it doesn't match mine, we're going to go to 12. And then that's when we both have shared ours, that's when we kind of get into the discussion of what we like and don't like about the movie.
Okay, so Halloween 3 is my least favorite Halloween film in the franchise.
All right. So mine is, and this is a popular one at the bottom, Resurrection.
I guess you're not a fan of Busta Rhymes, huh?
We'll get into it. Number 12.
Okay. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Oh, mine's going to be coming up later than for that one. Mine, number 12, Halloween Kills.
Okay. I actually had, okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Then Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers. I feel like 4 and 5 are almost kind of like a film that belong together. So that's why I have that in that spot.
It'll be a minute before we talk about that. 11, Halloween Ends.
Halloween Resurrection.
All right, let's talk about it. Okay, wait, what number is it for you?
So I had Halloween 3, Halloween 5, Halloween 4, and then I landed on Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah, so we're talking, oh, now I'm getting confused. What number is it for you? 10?
10.
Okay, yeah, my 10 is, we'll get to it. So Halloween Resurrection. Busta Rhymes, this is the one that seems to be at the bottom for a lot of people, and it is the bottom for myself. It's the one that feels the least like a Halloween movie for me.
I don't know. I believe that the time period of this is 2002, and Tyra Banks is in it as well. And there is like Thomas Ian Nicholas is in it, who I actually got to know a little bit here and became friendly with. And I like that. So, it's the age of American pies and things like that. We're trying to put yourself in the time period when this was put out, 2002. It comes after H2O, if I believe, which is an excellent film in my opinion. So, you're following up something that was kind of like really coming back to the story of the original with Resurrection. And it does showcase Jamie Lee Curtis at the very beginning, and something happens to her in the beginning, which, a spoiler alert, Michael Myers kills her and she dies. And that's how it starts off. So it kind of like puts you already in like, we're not going down that road of Laurie Strode here, but Michael's still around. And it does have a lot to do with like technology, which I feel like when horror films start to like dabble into technology and things like that, like the internet, it really does open up like kind of a bad like bed to lie in. And for whatever reason, I don't have this as 0. It's not my favorite by any means, but I do love just like in any franchise like this, the campiness of things like Busta Rhymes and those kind of things. Like, and I don't have it at the very end. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so as I said, disclaimer, every movie on this list I happily watch. So even though I have Resurrection at the very bottom, I will happily put on Resurrection and enjoy some parts of it. Trick or Treat Motherfucker is, and then a roundhouse, and then the roundhouse kick to the face, kicking Michael Myers out of the window. The thing is, that should make it the best Halloween movie, but it also kind of makes it the worst. So like I said, it's a little give or take with that one. So I mean, it is like the direct sequel to H2O, which I have coming up later. And yeah, the killing of Jamie Lee Curtis at the very beginning, I remember feeling so unearned. I don't know. It was just like, it almost like felt like tagged at the end, even though they put it at the beginning. Like they tagged it post-production, just be like, hey, this movie was where he finally kills Laurie Strode. So that didn't really do much for me. It was very, it was in like the post, what was it, 2002? It's still in that post like Scream era, where everything for like 10 years after Scream in 96 was trying to like at least be somewhat like Scream, with like you said, the technology, kind of the realistic dialogue and the meta aspects of it. And it just didn't, it's the only Halloween movie out of all 13 of them that really, even though Michael Myers is in it and he's killing people, it just, the tone of it definitely doesn't do much for me. So, but like I said,
Gotcha.
Happily watch it though. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, I like that. All right, so then should we go to our number 9 choice?
Well, my 10, you said your 9. or your 10. My 10 was Halloween 2.
Okay, like the original Halloween
The
2.
original Halloween 2.
Let's
John
see.
Carpenter script. All right, so
We're close. We're close on that.
nice. All right, you're number 9.
Halloween Kills.
All right, that was my number 12. This movie is bonkers. What do you got for this
Too
one?
much. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's interesting
Yeah,
to think about it
that's a
now.
perfect way to put it. Yeah.
It's honestly, it's okay to think about it now that I've seen Halloween Ends, and like me trying to wrap my head around like why it was the way it was. I feel like this trilogy, let's say, of these newer Halloweens, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, I really feel like they're focusing on the community, which is Haddonfield, and those, and that's why I think Halloween Kills is very much like the town coming after Michael. And it's just yeah, it is bonkers. That's a great way to say it. I mean,
Yeah.
your thoughts on it's pretty low in the list overall for you. So
It is, and when I say bonkers, I usually use bonkers in a loving way. I have one coming up. I have a movie that's very high on my list that I will describe as bonkers, and I mean that in the best possible way. This one, as you said, it tries too much. I love everything that they were trying to do with it. This is David Gordon Green's second in his trilogy. This is the one that came out just a couple of years ago. I mean, a quarter of the movie is like set in 1978. So they go back in 1978 when the original movie is playing, and they show like the cops who are not like the main cops working with Lewis. They show them like, oh, we got this Michael Myers killer on the loose. What are we going to do? And it shows like some interactions that add
CGI Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, right. And so that I liked where it was going with that, and then the hospital stuff with Loomis, basically attacking him. If I'm remembering that right, yeah, they definitely just tried to do too much. And even though I liked where all of it was trying to go, like it felt like a hot mess. And I don't know. That's the thing with both Ends and Kills. I feel like they're going to age well. Because
interesting.
The expectations and that's another thing I just wanted to say about this entire franchise. Every single sequel was hated upon release.
Sure.
Like in terms of critically and kind of fan base, nobody was really happy with any of these sequels. Like all the beloved sequels, like a lot of people put 4 and 5 like really high up. But the reaction to these movies were not that great at time of release, and so like it's over time and rewatching them, they all get better. Every single Halloween movie really gets better with age as you watch more of it, and you kind of understand what kind of direction that one was going. So that's so that's why I'm giving. That's why I'm kind of looking forward to the future in terms of watching the second 2 David Gordon Greens, and I think they'll probably age well because of what they do. And I haven't. Yeah. Anything else on Kills? Jim Cummings.
So just for me, for Kills, like it's saying it's too much. I mean, it was too much gore. It was too much like in your face. It was too much backstory. It was too much Michael Unleashed. And I don't know, maybe that again, in the grand scheme of the trilogy here, like you said, it needed to set up like what was going to happen in Ends and be the middle ground. So maybe that's why they were like, okay, let's have Michael like just do it. Like, I don't know how this whole trilogy was written. Like, was it all written to make sure that it was a complete story with all 3? If it was, I think that it's trying to do that, just to be like, kind of like Lord of the Rings, when you watch the 2 Towers, it's like fight sequences and war, and like, you know, all of the direness of things aren't getting better. And so that the last movie can kind of be like some sort of like jubilee of like happiness in a way. And not that the Halloween franchise is ever going to be a jubilee of happiness, but you get what I mean. Like it's like, you know, they're going to come to some sort of ending. So that's the point of this newest one in the franchise. So that's it for me. I think that Halloween Kills was trying to be, you know, bridging the gap between the 2 and the bookend, you know, the beginning and the end of this series.
Yeah. So I don't. We could talk more about whether or not it was a trilogy. I'm not sure if it was originally planned, but in my opinion, David Gordon Green definitely doesn't feel like a trilogy at all. Like if I watch all three of them, like it's pretty incoherent. But if I watch each one separately, there's a lot more for me to like in each one, because I feel like there was stuff, because 2018 hit so big at the box office that they probably maybe added more than they were originally planning. I don't know. Like I said, I forget if it was originally a trilogy, and then COVID probably fucked production shit up in terms of when the scheduling was for each one and how they were.
I mean, it did. I remember it was delayed to come out too. So,
Yeah, Kills was definitely delayed at least like a year and a half. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't feel like that great of a trilogy, but each separate one, there's a lot more stuff for me to like about it. And then I love that Jim Cummings from Thunder Road, which we will eventually cover one day, he shows up as one of the cops in the 1978 show, flashbacks, and he's just a good tone for that. He's so great. Okay, so that was your number 9. Number 8.
Yeah. So I had Halloween 2 there as number 8. Looks like we're now kind of getting closer. You didn't really like Halloween 2. Well, it's lower in your list, let's say.
John Carpenter's Halloween 2.
Yeah.
It's number 10 for me. Again, my list is a least favorite to favorite. There's still favorites at the very bottom. So 10 is not anywhere bad. Yeah. So, I mean, my first reaction of Halloween 2 is it's just kind of the most basic of all the sequels. Like it's an immediate sequel to the original. So it just tried to copy the original the most. And so it kind of felt like the safest, and it's super well done. Like it's a great horror movie. It doesn't go off the rails like basically every other sequel, and that's like I said, that's what I like about it. Yeah, and it's just not quite as good as well crafted as the original, obviously. So that's always kind of where like I've been on it. Like I definitely like watching it. Carpenter doesn't. He's quoted that he was completely drunk while writing the script, and he did it mostly for a paycheck. And he's just like, yeah, fucking. That's why I stopped drinking while writing, because of Halloween 2. So.
Oh wow, I hadn't heard that. That's great.
Yeah. Probably still drink it, but just not while writing. Yeah. So what do you think about that? You're number 8.
I mean, Halloween 2, agreed. It's a little bit, like I said, second verse, same as the first. I think that he did go right into it, which I like. I admire that it's like, okay, Laurie's in the hospital, Michael Myers is still out there. Like, yeah, I shot, what is it, the famous line, I shot him 6 times, or Donald Pleasance at the beginning, and again, we should also talk about the great Donald Pleasance in these sequels. He exited the because of his death on 6, but he was in like every single one basically up until, well, I don't think he was in Halloween 3, but
nobody was in Halloween 3. Yeah.
Right. And so, like, for me, I love Donald Pleasance. Like, he's great. Obviously, Loomis, Sam Loomis from Psycho, using the name. Then obviously going into Scream, Wes Craven uses Loomis again for Billy Loomis. I love that. Like, sometimes these guys like all pay each other respect, and Donald Pleasance is a great character actor that I'm glad we can talk about. 007 franchise as well. But here in Halloween 2, there's some great moments like that. Donald Pleasance, like going off the deep end, going crazy, hunting them down. And, he's still in Haddonfield and killing people. So yeah, enjoyable, but nothing really new being introduced. It's just kind of like, here's the second one. And
yeah,
he's
exactly
doing the same thing.
And so that's both why I like it and why it's probably just not as high as the other ones. So yeah. I mean, that's basically all I have to say on that one. Number 7.
So 7 for me is Halloween from 2018.
Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't say my 8.
Oh.
My number 8. Rob Zombie's Halloween 1.
Okay.
Which you have not said. So we're going to talk about that later. All right. Now we can say 7.
Okay. Halloween from 2018.
All right. 2018 for you. I have not said that one yet. My number 7, Halloween 3. Your number 13.
We've talked about that. That was my least favorite.
So the ranking really doesn't matter where it is on this one, because it's such like an independent movie. kind of independent movie, but just like individual separate horror movie that has no relation to the Michael Myers story, at least, even though
Well,
the
I
vibe
think
of it
they try to. I think they try to like, eventually, like in 666 and stuff like that, try to like
ties some
bridge
of
the
it back
gap.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, they try. Yeah,
But
with
I'm just like,
astrology and different things like that.
yeah, it was just unfairly dismissed because it didn't have Michael Myers at the time. But if it was just released as like a horror movie without naming it Halloween at all, like they just called it this movie, A Season of the Witch, people would have loved it immediately. But
And
rightfully
I
so, people like it now because it's become a cult classic. People realize it's part of the Halloween series. It just doesn't have Michael Myers, and it's an awesome horror movie on its own.
and yeah, I would say like I think it also like led way to things like Stranger Things and different stuff like that. Like sort of
Oh
like
yeah,
the tech, like the music and everything is so synth. And I think like Stranger Things must have like studied a movie like this a lot to pull things to bring into like their universe, which is obviously very popular. So you're right. Over time, this movie has aged pretty well. I do have it as 3 because we're talking about Halloween, and if you're talking about a Halloween movie, it's got to have Michael Myers for me. So I
yeah.
put it at the end. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but as far as the Halloween films ranked, it belongs at the bottom for me because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it really doesn't matter where you put Halloween 3. It's its own thing, and it is what it is. Tom
Right.
Atkins fucking rules. I love him. A Carpenter staple. He would have fit in The Thing, but he was in The Fog. So essential for so many '80s films. So always
Cool.
love to see him. All right, so that was my number 7. Your number 6.
Halloween Ends.
All right, let's talk.
So where did you have
That's pretty
Halloween
high
Ends?
for you. I love it.
Yeah.
11. I had it at 11. I'm excited to hear your reaction because, like I said at the beginning, this movie has become so fucking divisive. People are going bananas on the way this movie is rolled out. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not going to comment on anything that the internet is saying because I haven't looked at any of that. I don't like to really like let that fog my
Yeah,
opinion on movies. But I will say that this movie for me was really enjoyable. I
nice.
enjoyed it from start to finish. Um, I feel like this movie is going to age well, like you talked about before. I really
Yeah,
feel like they've got something that they're introducing here. It's called Halloween Ends for like a reason. And can you hear this helicopter that's like literally hovering over my place? Sorry.
oh
Maybe we'll
no,
wait for this
oh
to go.
maybe a tiny bit. It's good vibe setting.
These things that like there's a hospital nearby, so like they just like kind of like shake the foundation. Anyway, going back to Halloween Ends, I watched it last night, first time, first hot take. I loved it.
Nice.
I think that it's got so much that I didn't expect after seeing Halloween Kills. Um, I had heard from people that you don't see Michael Myers for a while. That didn't bother me at all. I like the fact that like the town is they set it up very much at the beginning that the town is reeling from all the tragedy that's happened from Michael Myers. It's been, and some people kind of dismiss it like usual in most Halloween things, which is always the mistake,
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
comes back. But then they show like the suicides and stuff like that are happening to people, like really saying like this really fucked up everybody. And so that's where like the kills thing kind of comes into this, where it's like they're all like rallying together, but now they're all like apart again. And then having the character of Corey kind of becoming like, okay, it's happening again. Like this is happening to a kid who's misunderstood, who something tragic happened to him, and now is placed into this role of like demonized because of something that he couldn't, control. It was an accident. And Laurie and Laurie's granddaughter and the way that they are mixed into it is really interesting. Like Laurie wanting to help him and kind of having that connection to him, but then also seeing eventually like that this Corey character is evil and that he's gotten that way. And they've even had talks with the people in the town, like, yeah, he was a really good kid, but now he's gotten to this place of madness that I don't even see that Corey that we recognize. And of course, he's being bullied and all of the things that happen, right? To make him sort of this evil thing. And then they throw in, which may be a little far-fetched, Michael Myers kind of training him away. And, he's in it, but he's not necessarily like the focal character. They're focusing more on this like birth of a new serial killer in Haddonfield. And so for me, for all those reasons, I love that they went out on a limb and tried something different. I think that they were successful in it. Are people going to love the fact that Michael Myers now is no longer around? I mean, who knows what the next one will be, right? I mean, they can't kill the franchise. I just feel like they have to, right? But
No,
what do
it's
you
the
thought?
it's the end of this trilogy. That's what this means. Michael Myers will be in a different reboot. So I mean, we're just stepping back. He's not going anywhere. This is the end of this trilogy, and also of Laurie's or Jamie Lee Curtis's story. That's also kind of the ends that I read it as. Like, I mean,
I
she
mean,
says,
what they asked us to do from the beginning of this was to say, forget all the movies in between. This is what happened directly,
yes.
after the first two or whatever.
And that's what's another thing I love about this franchise is that it's a choose your own adventure. There's basically 5 different paths that you can watch these movies through in terms of which is a sequel to what. So like this trilogy from David Gordon Green, which includes the 2018 Kills and Ends. It's a direct sequel to the original. So Jamie Lee Curtis is not his sister in this storyline, as opposed to what all the other sequels from the 80s introduced. And that's what I love about it. It's that you can watch it through all the different paths. One thing that really put a bow on ends for me is when I was looking at David Gordon Green's, there was a note that he put on Twitter like 2 years ago, or maybe a year and a half, where he submitted the script and he submitted it to John Carpenter to read. And his note was, let me know if it's too much like Christine. And that just basically opened up the whole door in terms of what he was going for with Corey. For anybody who hasn't seen Christine, it's a John Carpenter movie based on the Stephen King book, where the killer car basically influences the teen to start becoming a killer himself. And the more he uses the car, the more he starts kind of embodying the killer spirit of the killer car. And so that's definitely how I see it now with Halloween Ends. Like Corey was just starting to embody the spirit of Michael Myers. And the more he did it, the more cool he became, the more he was able to be attractive to Laurie, or not Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter. And just seeing it through that prism of like what he was trying to go through in the writing, that definitely made me like it a lot more. So, and like I said, I think it's going to age really well in terms of it being its like own independent movie that you can watch on its own. And plus it has a band, a group of bully band members, which is the most insane incorporation of a bully into a movie that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
These band kids are the bullies of the movie, and that's fucking great. I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot to love of this movie, in my opinion. At the end of the day, how it lasts and how it's seen in the franchise, I think will be yet to be seen. But anybody getting upset about it, if you can just like kind of watch it as like a good Halloween movie and like take all of the Michael Myers is no longer, they kill him, right? That's they put him in like a car cruncher at the end. Like we said, spoiler alert, you guys, but they literally, there's no coming back from that unless some
Yeah,
mystical like dust gets sprayed on him. They really end it and they really kill him. And that's again, the town, like they even like kind of carry him to the town, like Mussolini, like, like when they drag Mussolini through the town, it was very much like, all of us have to like come to a catharsis of this monster finally being caught, dragged through the town square, put into this device that crushes him for all of eternity, and now we
yeah,
can all move on. I mean, they didn't make it, they didn't end it with like he may come back. It was like this is it, and you
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
love the balls of that, like for a franchise that's as beloved as it is, to end it for real. I don't think anybody's seen that yet. I don't think anybody's seen a final end to Michael Myers yet.
Well, I mean, yeah, we did. It's in my number 6.
Six
H2O.
six six.
No, my number 6, which which I was about to announce. H2O. Did you already say H2O yet?
H2O is high on the list for me, so
Good.
I didn't say it yet.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we have to get too ahead of it, but he dies at the end of that one. That's
No,
pretty,
but he doesn't,
but
because they tell you in
yeah,
Resurrection
but that's a
that it wasn't.
sequel, as in they showed Ends, and they could, in theory, create a sequel to Ends and be like, oh, that wasn't actually him that went in the grinder. You know what I mean? So as in
Yeah,
that's what,
I mean, anything is possible.
well, that's what I'm
right?
saying. But like that's when they released H2O. She cuts off his head at the end, and like that was like how that movie was marketed. It's like, yeah, Michael Myers is dead, and this is the end of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's
Yeah,
no
okay.
there's no right or wrong in these movies, and that's what's great about them. So
Well,
anyway,
see because of the fact that they open with Jamie Lee Curtis in the mental institution and everything, I felt
yeah,
it was like literally like a transition from H2O. Like that's what happened to her after she killed Michael. So
right.
I thought it was still in the same universe. That's why I was saying like,
Well, yeah,
we never really
it's still
saw.
in the same universe for sure. I guess this is more of just a time question. It's like, because Halloween Ends is the last movie we saw. There's no current sequel to it, so at this
Yeah.
point in time, he is dead with that one. But in
Yeah.
theory, they could make another one. But
Okay. Yeah.
This
So
is
what
great
did you
about- okay,
have
but that was
then
my number.
after?
That was my number 6, H2O, which you have not said yet. So we're on to number 5 now.
Okay. Halloween 2, Rob Zombie.
Ooh, I haven't said that yet. My number 5 is Curse of Michael Myers, 666, aka Paul Rudd.
Yeah, that's the way everybody remembers that movie, isn't it?
Which you have
Okay,
not
well,
said yet.
I haven't said that yet.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4. You're number 4.
Halloween, Rob Zombie.
Let's talk
Number
about
1.
it. Wait.
I fucking love this
Yeah,
movie. I
okay,
can't
yeah.
believe I love this movie. I love what Rob Zombie's done with it. I will say that I wanted to love the Munsters from Rob Zombie, and I didn't. Except it was visually beautiful and it was awesome. And like the
Nice.
campiness, I applaud him for, but I just couldn't get through it. And I was so excited for the Munsters remake. And I'm not like a huge Rob Zombie fan. I don't really love, House of a Thousand Corpses. I don't really love Three from Hell. I don't really love all of the films that he's made. But I have to say, Halloween and Halloween 2, he did an amazing job. I've been saying that year after year after year. And I feel like people are finally coming around to it a little bit. But even my friend Lindsay, we talk every year and she's like, they have the worst movies in the franchise. And I'm really animated about it. Like he did something different with it, where he went into talking about Michael's past. And I think that's where some people kind of like are like, no, there should be no reason why Michael Myers is the way he is. Like he is just like pure evil.
Yeah.
That's how it was. That's what the scary part about it is. I just think I needed that backstory and I liked it. He's still pure evil, but Rob Zombie does such a great job of really exploring like the brutality of Michael Myers. And I think 1 and 2 really do that. I think 2, when you get into it, we can talk later when we match up on that, but that has a little bit more of like a psychological aspect of it. But Halloween, the original remake of Rob Zombie, he also brings back Danielle, who was from 4 and 5, who I love.
Danielle Harris.
She's great in it. Billy Bibbit from Cuckoo's Nest. I forget the actor. Brad
Dorff.
Forget his Brad. He's great in it.
Yep.
It feels so like 70s, like in a way, but like new. And just like every time Michael is on screen, it's like, holy shit, like the energy of it is so big.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, it's not holding anything back with that. It's like, this guy is brute force and he's coming and you're not getting away. Your thoughts on Halloween, Rob Zombie?
Yeah, to touch on your last point, it feels big. It both feels big, like emotionally, the movie, but then also just physically, like he's like a hulking presence in this movie. Like, and that's what I'm a little bit more high on Rob Zombie in general as a director than you are. I think he's a pretty mediocre to not great director, but he does have a vision that he is able to get onto screen with every single one of his movies. Every single one of his movies has images have stuck with me. Like I could still see like images from a couple of movies that I've only seen once, that like once I saw them, like they were just like imprinted on my brain. Like I said, mediocre filmmaker, but like he was able to translate what he saw in his head onto screen, at least in some parts. And I think this is definitely present in both Halloween 1 and 2 of his, like the images of Michael being like carted out, like walking out of the through the mental institution like in shackles, like those images are tattooed on my mind because of how cool they look, and just how much it like just showing that this hulking presence. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a super underappreciated movie. I think I sent you like just this meme just showing how at the time, again, like I said, every Halloween sequel is usually met with like ambivalence at the time of release, but then over time grows with appreciation. And I think his movies are getting a lot of attention now with the last 3 coming out, just because they try to do their own thing. That was the complaint about it at the time, like showing that his backstory and showing that there was like an actual person to begin with. That's the main thing that people were complaining about at the time, and now that's something that people are like, yeah, he tried to do his own thing with those 2 movies, and that's what makes them unique and definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the violence is pretty brutal. He doesn't really stab people, he just like punches people while holding a knife, and then just punches through their body while he just happens to be holding a knife. So
Yeah, like I said, the brutality of it is on display.
Right.
If this last Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, if this last one was about the townspeople and the community of Haddonfield, I really feel very much like Rob Zombies were about Michael Myers and the sheer force and brutality of this killer.
Yeah, no, I love it so much. Wait, that was your number 4. That was my number 8. But as you can tell, I haven't said Halloween 2, so we'll get to that later. All right, so that was your number 4. My number 4 is Halloween 4. 4 for 4. The Return of Michael Myers, which you've already said. What was that? Your number?
11.
That was your 11. All right. So this one, yeah, you can go for it.
No, all I was going to say is like 4 and 5 are lower in my list here because of the fact that I do feel like they're sort of like bundled together.
Yeah.
This one is like a little bit more that campy, and I think this is where you're going to add the bonkers stuff into it, because this is a little bit more campy. 4 and 5 are a little more campy. There are like some pretty serious stuff, especially with, like I said, the Danielle. I forget her name and the character's name in it, the little girl. They really do a good job of like adding her, and like I think showing like how like a younger kid is affected by Michael Myers, and but there's like so much 80s campiness around it, the bumbling detectives that are in it, like like it almost feels like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, like campy in those moments. So they're lower on the list for that, because I just don't feel like there's some, and his mask is kind of like wonky in it for me, like it's like bright white kind of like I don't know, like the hair is really weird. It's not my favorite version of Michael Myers. So anyway, that's why it's lower on the list. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of the stuff that you're saying is kind of the reason why it's one of the most revered sequels out there. Like, I think a lot of people put number 4 as one of their favorite sequels. It's a pretty popular one. It definitely captures the vibe of Michael Myers really well. That's what I like the best about it, and Halloween.
Well, how so? I'd like to know what you mean by that.
Well, it's a perfect blend of nostalgia, honoring kind of the original, what they were doing. Like, what year did that come out? It was 1988, so it was exactly 10 years after the original. And in the title itself is The Return of Michael Myers. This is the movie that came out after Season of the Witch, and everybody was like, oh, why is Michael Myers not in it? This is just garbage. And so this is them getting back on track with it being a Michael Myers story. And I just think, I love so many of the images. If you're at if you can remember the intro, the opening credits to this one are so fucking amazing. Definitely the best opening to any Halloween movie, you know, aside from the first one with just the music. It's just showing these images of like this desolate rural community, you know, a little bit outside of Haddonfield, I'm assuming, where it's just like these rundown farms, nobody's around. You just have like these ramshackle Halloween decorations. It's just the most creepy opening to a movie in any of the sequels, and I love it so much. And then, yeah, just having it come back with Donald Pleasance and introduction of Jamie is her name, Danielle Harris.
Oh yeah, Jamie Lloyd, right?
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, I think the underrated MVP of like these movies, like her in 4 and 5, like she's so good at like a child being like traumatized by Michael Myers. I think she's great in both of them.
She's an incredible actress in general. I've seen her in other things, and like I said,
Yeah.
in the Halloween, the Rob Zombie versions, like she was awesome in those. I mean, really, really awesome. I really love her as an actress.
Yeah, yeah, no, she's a perfect blender in it. But yeah, you know, like I said, that's kind of why I put it up there. And I'm pretty happy with that. So that was my number 4. So we are on to your number 3 now.
Halloween H2O, number 3
Ooh.
of all time Halloween
Oof.
movies in the franchise. I love this film.
Did you get to go see it at that screening just recently?
I saw it in a friend's backyard
Yeah.
here in Los Angeles, and
Nice.
I saw it in the theater when it first came out in 1998. On midnight showing where they showed the original Halloween, and then they showed H2O, which I seared in my memory as one of my coolest movie going experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And then also seeing this in the backyard where I got to see it with my girlfriend who had never seen it, and she's like doesn't love these types of movies,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. Who should really love movies about a serial killer stabbing people, you know? But at the same time, I told her like this movie has a little bit more to do about the story, and you know, she it was lighter because she saw Halloween Kills with me like last year, and she was like, I'll never watch another one of those movies again because it is just so
Yeah.
stabby and brutal, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah. So how many Halloweens has she seen? You said she saw Kills and H2O with you, with like she's seen the
probably I
original?
would. Yeah, she's not one of those people who like loves the Halloween
No,
franchise.
yeah, that's
Like,
right.
I'm sure she's
But
seen the original, but a lot of times too, just horror in general or anything that's kind of scary is not really like high on her list. So a lot of times,
right.
like when Halloween comes, she like plays up to my.
All right. Yeah. Oh, that's nice of her though. But yeah. But yeah, I was
Yes,
just saying, like, if Halloween Kills is one of the only ones you've seen, then yeah, it's not the best one to check out.
right.
Yeah. Oh, I love H2O. That was my number 6. I was in 8th grade when this came out, and I was like so pumped for it because that was really only like a couple years after I had seen the original, and it was like this was like the first like movie in the theater that I would be able to go and see, that had Michael Myers in it. And you know, I rewatched it a couple years ago. Definitely holds up. Like it is such like a perfect relic of 90s. It was 98, I believe.
98.
Yeah, right after Scream, even though it didn't feel like the influence on Scream was like totally there. I feel like they really tried to honor the original. And so yeah, like I was saying before, that's the storyline where that Michael Myers is her brother, because it's a direct sequel to the first 5 essentially. And as I mentioned, yeah, it did feel finite at the end when she chops off his head. At the time, it's like that was like the end of the story. It felt satisfying, end of Michael's story at least. And you know, the fact that it wasn't the actual case doesn't ruin it or anything, but like as a single movie to watch, like it's such a perfect fucking ending for it. I love it. And you get to
Well, we
open with
got LL
Joseph.
Cool J.
You got
We
LL
got
Cool J.
also Jamie Lee Curtis's mom is in it, who obviously has the nod to Psycho, Janet
Right.
Leigh. And then also, how could we forget to say Josh Hartnett, introducing Josh Hartnett and Michelle Williams in this. So 2 people that went on to be pretty big stars are in this movie in 1998. And also just like kind of going down the road of like revisiting the Laurie Strode character and where she is in her life, and you know what Halloween means to her. She's obviously like drinking a lot, and I kind of liked that they went down Here comes that helicopter again. Sorry.
They just wanted to
So
get
yeah,
in on this conversation, dude. They wanted to
yeah.
hear all these picks.
Seriously, it shakes my apartment.
Well, and also the first kill. You remember who the first one who gets killed in that movie?
Who does?
The first kill, the first victim in H2O. Joseph
The first.
Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, with the nurse from the original, who was like, "Hey, come check out who might be in my place."
Yes. Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in it, comes in and
He's a
realizes
hockey player, and he gets a hockey I can't even think of a blade to the face.
Yeah, yeah, a skate, yeah, to
Yeah.
the face. Yeah, that was the ending of him. But also kind of cool way to kind of like have Donald Pleasance be introduced a little bit into it, because like, they had the clippings on the wall and they show him
Yeah.
and everything. I believe the title sequence also has his voice in it, which is cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so H2O, we both love, kicks ass. It was number 3 for me.
That was your number 3. My number 3, Halloween 2018.
Damn. Okay, let's talk about it. Why?
Remind me of where you placed that one. You had
I have that. Yeah.
7. Yeah, that's number 3 for me. This one came out in 2018, and I was very excited for it. David Gordon Green is a director I've enjoyed. He's made a good amount of indie films. He did Pineapple Express. Very odd choice to direct a horror movie in general, especially such like a huge reboot. And I think Halloween 2018 hits the absolute perfect blend of new and nostalgia. I think it is pretty expertly directed. I think it's the best, aside from the original. Obviously, everything we say right now is caveat to the original, because that's just how it is. I think it's the best directed of all the sequels in terms of just like straightforward narrative and introducing Michael as a character to continue his story. And I love the ending. Essentially, it really is up there with H2O in terms of the temporary demise of Michael Myers. That entire end scene of the 3 generation of women fighting Michael at the house and him burning in the basement. I think it's just the most perfect ending for any of these movies that can come out. And I was just so pleasantly surprised with it. I had such a great time watching it. I visited it again last year and still holds up. Like I said, I think this one came out and it was so well received. It is one of the few movies that actually got decent reviews compared to all the other sequels, and that obviously made like a lot of money. And so I think they kind of adjusted that and kind of pushed through kills and ends in a way that maybe they didn't quite have to, at least in the trilogy format. Because like I said, this movie just stands alone, and I could just watch it in any format in terms of like a reboot, a remake, whatever you want to call it. Like, I think it's just great.
Great. Yeah, I did love it too. It was kind of in the middle of my list.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things about it too is like, I always love a good booby trap movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
finding out that Laurie Strode is kind of like got this protection around her placed, to just in case. And then you're gonna get to see all the trap doors and things that happen throughout. That's always interesting. And it adds to like a nice element of this film for me. Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, yeah. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, like the way they bring her back after 40 years. Because again, like I said, the 2018 is a direct sequel to the original. So in this storyline, she was just a babysitter who was attacked 40 years before. And then now Michael Myers gets out, and for whatever reason, he's still stalking her. So has nothing to do with their being siblings or anything. And just how she became kind of like that, a little bit of a hermit. So
we should also talk about, by the way, yes, of course she's a hermit in this one, and then kind of like you see her arc and where she gets to end, because obviously she's been anticipating seeing him, and now that she's seen him, what happens to her, throughout the run of the 3 movies that were just made. But I would say like also the stamp of approval of John Carpenter and obviously Jamie Lee Curtis for these 3 films, right?
Right. Yeah, and Carpenter did the music with his son. while he's been, I think we were talking about it a couple episodes back, but I've been able to see him perform live a couple times, and perform his albums that he's created recently, along with all the original scores, including Halloween. And so he's been working quite a bit on music. That's been his main thing the last like 10 years. And so he did the score for this one with his son and Cody Carpenter. And it's just like a perfect like handoff. That's kind of how I saw it. So
yeah. All right, so we're on to number two.
Number two. What do you got?
Halloween 666, Curse of Michael Myers, number two for me.
Fuck yes. Love it. That is my number 5. It's so good. All right, what do you got? So this one, just really quick, I would say this one I was always late to. I remember vividly you always talking this one up at Suncoast, and this was like one of the last sequels that I had ever seen. For whatever reason, I don't think they played it on TV very much. So for whatever reason, I just didn't see it too much growing up, and I saw it for the first time maybe like 10 years ago, and blew my mind away. It's great. So yeah, what made it so great for you instantly? Because like I said, you've been talking about it forever.
I think like what you said, like everything you want to see in the Halloween movies, you know, it kind of like tried to tie in a lot of what was happening in the universe. And again, even a little bit of like the Halloween 3 storyline, and it kind of like, you know, this like secret society that like is controlling Michael. And then there's just like he comes back to Haddonfield, and in Haddonfield it's just like the perfect Halloween setting, perfect Halloween town. You got the old house that people are like, you know, living in now, and the abusive dad, you know, who's like such a dick. And you just love like the characterization of these people. It's like it's not even, it's just kind of like fun, even that like knowing like you're like, I can't wait till this like abusive dad gets killed, and then he gets killed in the best possible way. And you know, that those kind of things, it's like stupid little petty stuff. Like the story is just the story, it doesn't need to be great. It just needs to be like Michael Myers is coming back, and like here's these people, they got the radio DJ who's just like completely fun, and like, you know, you can't wait to see how he meets his demise. And then, of course, Paul Rudd does add this like little bit of like, okay, here we're seeing Tommy Doyle again. And what has happened to Tommy Doyle like since the original? He's now a grown up. And how does he connect it? Also with Donald Pleasance in his last role here in the franchise before he passed away, who kind of like just is like, I know Michael's coming back someday, and, you know, gets to be part of this as well. I just think it's really well done and fits in there number 2, because it's always also in my life been something I have like paraded around and saying like, people, you got to see this film. And so I always like have like a love for it. That's my hot take on the number 2 in the Halloween films ranked.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like that was a hot take when we were working at Suncoast, but as time goes on, that's not a hot take at all, because you were right the entire time. So I feel like people have finally come around to that one for sure. And it was always kind of like, although I feel like a lot of people will still maybe dismiss it because of Paul Rudd. They're just like, oh, Paul Rudd was in a horror movie. It just is what it is. But like, so this was,
well, it's kind of like what I'm sorry. I just want to say it's kind of like what I said earlier to you about like when I started Halloween Ends. It's like immediately putting you in Haddonfield Halloween, which is what people want to do. So give me that, put me in there. And this movie starts with Mr. Sandman, if you recall, and it's like the knife goes into the pumpkin, and then you're in the universe right away. Like it puts you in Halloween time. It's the fall, the leaves are changing, all of that kind of stuff. And that's like what I always want to see. I always want to feel like I'm in Haddonfield and shit's going down because it's Halloween, you know?
Yeah. I still have more to say on it, but
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off too.
No. I'm touching on your point when you pointed out Mr. Sandman. Where Mr. Sandman wasn't used in the original movie, right?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I feel, but it was definitely used in H2O, which was after 666. when
I
was it
mean,
first?
Sandman is kind of like, I think, saying like it's just someone who's putting you to sleep. That's
Right.
the
Yeah.
point.
No, I just mean the song itself. I'm just trying to like, it's not referencing the original, but for whatever reason in my mind, it feels like it was kind of using the original, but like we said, it wasn't in there at all. So I don't know. Like it's become like an
Right.
unofficial song of the franchise, even though it wasn't in the original. So
It's like great when people are able to like they do that in the Dahmer series really well with the music and different things. Like when it's something so evil and so terrible, but they're able to use this song that's so bright and so uplifting to kind of like have the juxtaposition of it. Like meaning Mr. Sandman is about like, Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream, make it the cutest that I've ever seen. And it's so like
I could listen to that all day.
1950s. Yeah, it's so 1950s bright, like
Yeah.
uplifting, but you're about to like enter this world of like horror, and it's also like giving you a nice foreshadowing of Sandman, the guy who put you to sleep. All those are always some of my favorite things, when you can like have the duality of like this
Yeah.
really bright and fresh song with like this really, really dark storytelling.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just confused with Back to the Future. It's the first song Marty hears when he's in 1955, Sandman. So
Right. Totally. Yeah. Back to the Future. Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, so Paul Rudd, probably the most serious performance he's ever given. It's like he is just like one of the best comedic actors alive. But like this is early in his career. It's the same year as Clueless, which is also a comedic performance. But like he's like so serious and over the top in the best possible way in this movie. I think he's perfect for it.
I mean, I disagree because Cider House Rules, he was playing like a serious role, but it wasn't really like a lead role.
So I've never seen that. I didn't even know he was in that.
Gotcha.
I read that book though. I never saw the movie. I should
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, Michael Caine, I was on board right away.
Right. Do you have a preference for the version of Halloween 6, like the theatrical or the producer's cut?
Oh man, I don't know if I even knew that there was a difference. I didn't even know about that.
Well, the producer's
all I really
cut,
know is the producers, or the original.
Well, so you might be watching. So what happens at the end? So there's two different endings. There's the theatrical cut, and then there's the producer's cut.
Well, so the ending is like Donald Pleasance basically getting killed in the sanatorium, and you hear him scream, and it goes into the ending.
So that sounds like the theatrical cut. The producer's cut has like a switch out where Michael Myers, it's got like the satanic ring, and Michael Myers gets like frozen in it by Paul Rudd. And
no shit.
Yeah, there's like I said, the last 15 minutes of these two versions are just completely different. So the one you're talking is the theatrical, and I think that probably is the one that's more widely available. Like if you just look up it on Amazon, that's probably the one you're going to be watching. But the producer's cut gets a lot of love because it is a little bit. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's what the producers wanted, which was a little bit more over the top. The theatrical cut kind of became a little bit more reserved, but I mean they're both awesome. I mean, essentially you're watching the same movie. There's just there's a decent amount of differences that I didn't know if you had any preference to, but definitely doesn't change how great the fucking movie is. So
right.
But yeah, like I said, that was a late find for me. It was probably the last sequel that I ever saw, and
I'll just say this with producers cuts and stuff like that. Sometimes that's a cash grab for me. Like, okay, see like the new footage you didn't see. So I don't know. In the Halloween series, I would think that would be more of a cash grab, just because these films are kind of like, they know people just want to see Michael Myers, and is there going to be more kills or something like that? And so in the mind of the consumer, they might be like, yeah, I got to go spend my money to get that producer's cut. While you have a movie like Cinema Paradiso and they do the director's cut, and I'm like, don't fucking ruin the movie. Like, I don't think that's a cash grab at all. But like, I've never even seen the director's cut because I don't want to know that movie in any other format than what it is, because it's perfect in my opinion.
No, anyway. Not 99 out of 100 times. It's not usually worth pursuing seeing an alternate cut unless there's dramatic changes, or if like the movie was like seriously compromised, and then
Like kind of like
like
Touch of Evil, where like you have a full with the DVD version of it. Orson Welles' full page of notes, basically
yeah,
scathing notes saying
right,
like you
right, right,
fucked up my movie, how dare you? And then years later they tried to like make it to his like specifications because it's Orson Welles. You know what
right,
I
right,
mean?
right. I mean, as we're talking like alternate cuts, it's not officially a director's cut, but Alien 3 from David Fincher. It was his first studio movie that got completely taken away from him. Like he's disowned it. Like he just was. He definitely doesn't consider it his own movie because they cut it up so much. But there is an assembly cut that is widely available where it's not his movie, but it does put in all the stuff that he tried to get into the film, which covers a lot more themes on religion and whatnot. And it's a crazy different movie, so much better with all the additional
Really?
stuff than the theatrical cut that everybody saw.
Remind me, 3 Winona Ryder, is that right?
No, definitely not. That's number
Oh, okay.
4. 3 is the one where Sigourney's she crash lands on the planet, the prison planet, with a lot of Pipasa Waits in it, Charles S. Dutton.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a very dour, like very somber movie. It's like very bleak. It's definitely not over the top like Aliens or anything. It's just a single alien, and like I said, it covers a lot of themes like religion and redemption. And
Uh-oh, I think I lost Pat.
all that stuff is fleshed out so much more with all the stuff that David Fincher tried to get in, but they cut.
Gotcha. You
You
either
got
in
me
real
back?
time. Yeah, I lost you for a second, but then it caught up with it. I don't know. It was weird.
Okay. Can you hear me all
Because
right
your point
now?
came through, but like your video was paused. Whatever. All good.
Okay.
Sorry about that, listeners. We're back.
But yes, Halloween, the two cuts for 666, both worth your time. But yeah, so that was your number 2, right? And
Yep.
so my number 2, which we can talk about now, Rob Zombie, Halloween 2.
All right. Let me hear your
This
first.
is
take on it.
this is my hot take. This is my favorite sequel of all the Halloween movies. And as we mentioned, it's been kind of leading up to it. You probably guess the crazier the movie, the more I like it, because this movie is batshit bonkers. I love everything that Zombie started with, like his first movie, but then moved into with the Halloween 2. Laurie's basically suffering from PTSD. Michael is a homeless drifter going around and just, like I said, just impaling people with a knife rather than actually stabbing them. And I love how this is basically a surrealist film with all the images of Sherry Moon walking around with the white horse. I think it sets the tone for what a crazy Michael Myers story
I mean,
is.
probably what people hated, but I love that stuff too.
That's precisely right. Everything. Every time I watch a video or hear somebody talk about like all the stuff they hate about Halloween 2, I'm like, that's the reason why it's one of my favorites. But it is so well directed for Rob Zombie, I should say. That's a caveat.
Yeah, you've definitely stated that he's not the greatest director of all time.
That's but he's a great artist, though, which is even harder. So and yeah, like the images of Michael in this are great. So this is another one, as we were just talking about with 6, where there is 2 different versions, the theatrical and then the director's cut. They're not crazy different, but the ending of this one is pretty different, the last 5 minutes. And it definitely, the director's cut is what puts it over the top for me. To refresh your memory, I mean, the original, the theatrical cut just ends with Laurie stabbing Michael and then coming out and basically just standing in front of the cops, and that's almost the end of it. Whereas the director's cut, Michael comes out, you actually see his mask come off. He's got this giant beard and his long hair, and it's just like it takes you back. It takes you aback every time you see it, because you're actually seeing Michael Myers' face. And he tries to attack Loomis, and then they shoot him. and then they shoot Laurie, who's actually starting to become Michael Myers. Like you can, the connection that has been like kind of there throughout the entire movie is made. And then they cut to this musical montage of a cover of Love Hurts, and it shows Laurie in the mental hospital, seeing the white horse with Sherry Moon Zombie, and it's like I said, it's such a perfect capper to the craziest sequel in this entire franchise.
It's very a la Psycho too, you know, like she's just standing there, not really doing much, not very, you know, pretty stoic.
Well, she just starts smiling when she sees the white horse, and because she's like fully embodying like this evil possession, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Of her brother.
I love this film. I love what he did with it. I love that, you know, he also explores Loomis's like unraveling into like Hollywood kind of stardom because of like who he was, and he, you know, gets to talk. He's like completely obsessed with it still.
Yeah,
but he's using it for his own advantage, and he gets called out on it all the time, but he's sort of like now like the celebrity type figure. I like that he went there with Loomis, you know, like
he's such a prick in this movie. I love it.
Such a prick. And you love him kind of in the first one, which is an interesting reversal, because
he does have empathy.
That you really you definitely think that he wants to help Michael in the first one, and in the second one it's like, whoa, it's like a 180 almost.
And I think they kind of it seems contradictory, but I think they can exist. I mean, that's like they were like 30 years apart, 30 years apart, and I totally believe that he had empathy for Michael in the first one and was trying to help, and then, you know, well, I couldn't do that, but I might as well make some money on the book tour. So
right. Yeah. Love that. I love the fact that like it is Sherry Moon too in those things, because like his mom dying in the first one, you know, by suicide because she just couldn't fucking handle it, comes back in sort of this like role where he's also talking about like what that means, that connection of his mother, and like the only person that really she kept on trying, but then like realized there's nothing I could do. That obviously is something he's trying to say affected Michael, you know, and why he became who he became.
Right. Yeah, we're definitely going to put a link to Love Hurts in the show notes, because if you haven't seen it, it's a wild take for a movie to end with, and if you have seen it, it's a good song to revisit again, especially.
And again, great music choice, you know.
Yeah, it's a callback to the first one, and that's what his mother was dancing to at the club. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like his movies are getting more appreciation than they've ever got now, just with time, and then with people having their own reactions to the new trilogy, because that happens with everything. Every time you get a new reiteration of something, you kind of look back to what was before and you realize that maybe there was a little bit more. It's hard for people
to detach themselves from what they want out of franchise, you know, because they love the original so much, and rightfully so. I have a feeling we're going to talk about our number one here, and it's going to be the original, and I didn't think that was going to be a surprise for anybody.
This list is not climactic. There's only one answer for every.
And that's the thing, is that once that movie is made and it's such a classic, like what it becomes after that is kind of up to generations, and people are watching these films wanting every time to get exactly what they got out of the first one, and it's never going to happen, which is why Halloween Ends for me was such a great film, because, you know, they tried something really drastically different and also gave us something new in a franchise that like is so beloved. It's really, really tough to do that, but still gave the proper amount of respect to, you know, the franchise in general. I thought, you know, I'm all for that, and that's why I liked and always like stood on my soapbox and told people about the Rob Zombie versions, and then I loved them since they first came out, because I thought this is like the most respectful you can. Like you just said it to me the best way, that he's an artist. Rob Zombie's an artist. Like, you know, like the art that I do behind me, right? Like what makes me different? There's a lot of people that paint. There's a lot of people that do music. What makes you stand out? Rob Zombie has clearly stood out through time from his bands and his music and his aesthetic of a very, very focused artist that also harkens back on horror, which through and horror through time, which he
Yeah.
definitely uses as an inspiration, but as an artist makes it his own. And that's why these Rob Zombie versions are so good, because he understands Halloween. He understands Halloween and why it's so good, and then used and infused his years of understanding of horror movies and artistry and put it on film for us all to love. And if you can view it that way, instead of viewing it like it's not what I expected from a Halloween film, or it's not like the John Carpenter version, then you're going to love those films. I mean, you just will.
And top that, man, that perfectly sums it up. Yeah, like I was saying, like Rob Zombie, he has images in his mind, and although the direction isn't always there, he always manages to get them on screen. And I mean, to be honest, that's got to be one of the hardest parts of filmmaking or any type of creation, is just getting what you see, hear, or think in your mind out to somebody else to see and listen to and view. And I think he nails it. I mean, like I said, especially with number 2, so great.
Yeah. So number 1 film in the Halloween franchise, not surprisingly for both of us, it looks like John Carpenter's Halloween. Yeah.
It's not even like, there isn't really even a question. I mean, I'm open to everybody's list. You put any movie anywhere except for, the first one goes on top. That's the only one that if you don't have that, then your list might be invalid. But
like, forget about the fact that this movie inspired all the movies we just talked about, right? I mean,
that would be oh, I was going to say, I mean, that would be the reason for potentially not putting it at number 1, but I don't know. I mean, Carpenter is one of the first directors that I fell in love with at a young age, and this was it was really the 1-2 combo of seeing Halloween and The Thing when I was like maybe 10, and just being blown away by both of them. I'm sure we'll talk about The Thing and some other date, but Halloween was just like the most perfect summation of what minimalism can do in terms of fear. Because like everything about this movie is just like you're seeing Michael, but at the same time he's a presence throughout, but you never quite know where he is, who he is, and what he represents. And it's just like so perfectly captured throughout the original. And then you put on top of the fact that it's a fucking killer score, still one of the best scores of all time. And it understands horror in a way that no other movie does. And that's because John Carpenter was obsessed with horror and other genres, but especially horror. And he was able to translate that with his early work.
Well said. And I know that you love John Carpenter more than anybody that I've ever met, which is also awesome. Like that you can kind of like know his amount of work and reference it and still be like, yeah, it comes down to like the guy just is a unique artist, just like Rob Zombie was. I don't think John Carpenter really loved the Rob Zombie versions and stuff like that. From what I remember hearing, that he kind of was like, those were garbage. But you can't deny that. Yeah, well, and you can't deny that both people. Well, you can't deny that both people are original artists. Like I was saying earlier, John Carpenter did to do something brand new, and also to just kind of piggyback on what you said, because that's exactly what I would say. The score, like, is so dark and it's Halloween the way you want to see it. You got these high school kids and babysitters and like all the perfect mix of like the night, the perfect hell night that's about to ensue. But to me, and sanitariums, nurses and doctors like trying to figure out what's going on with this guy, wreaking havoc, and never let him out. He's pure evil. You get to see what he does at the beginning, which is killing his sister, which is about as diabolical an opening for a horror movie that you could, and also just the idea that in the end, you don't know what happens to him either. He's like, it's like, whoa, this guy there's no finish. Like he's out there still, and he just like terrorized this whole town. So there's really nothing at the end that makes you feel like good about what you just saw. It makes you think this evil is out there and it could come back at any time, which again led way to all these sequels that we talked about. The first one does so much brand new stuff and on no budget, of course, which like any great director, Scorsese's, some of their best movies were done when they were just like, I want to make something great, unique, cool. I don't have any money, but I'll find a way to do it. And that's another reason why this movie wins, if you ask me.
No, yeah, I mean, you're definitely nailing it with the ending. All the other moments that I was saying, like the ending of Michael Myers, like in terms of ending his death, the ending of this film, when it after Loomis shoots him, and then you see his body's gone, and then it cuts to all the different scenes that you saw, or the placements like you saw throughout the movie, like the closet, the living room, all the places where Michael Myers was attacking people, especially Laurie. And so and without moving the camera, just showing those places, but then you hear the Michael Myers breathing over that. So like that just sums it up right there. It's like he's just this living presence that's going to be around any corner, and you see it completely with showing those scenes while hearing him breathe, and then it just cuts to credits.
And you just witnessed those like, you're right. I don't think I've ever seen it done that way until that movie. You just witnessed the horror that was in those rooms. So your mind is going back there without doing anything but showing the place, the location of where the carnage happened, with that, underneath, like breathing, just thinking like, holy shit. And it's so relatable to people, because it's like your house, where your safety is, like where you're always safe, and you're just seeing these scenes that are so relatable to you as an audience member, and you just saw like the most horrific thing happen in them. It's frightening on a whole nother level without even showing Michael Myers or anything else happening. Like, beautiful ending to a fantastic horror movie.
I mean, that's a huge reason what you're saying was like why, like in the 70s, like we take for granted now, but like in the 70s, seeing a horror movie set in the suburbs was like, that just didn't happen. There was no, like, the entire point of the suburbs was to feel safe. So the idea of Michael Myers being a serial killer in this safe suburban area, that's part of the reason why it threw so many people off at the time in a good way, and probably was.
I mean, obviously in the 80s too. I'm sorry, Pat.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the 70s, this is what kind of introduced that, and then goes full force.
Right, like now all of a sudden Freddy Krueger can get you in your dreams, which is another safe space for you, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I can't go to camp anymore because Jason's gonna come get me, and like I'm like nowhere safe in any of these places that are supposed to be like safe havens as a kid, and it's terrifying. The 80s were a great time for horror,
Oh my god! I mean, that's why we're doing this right now, because we don't have enough to say about it. So love it.
Well, I don't know if you have anything else to say, but that was a great run through. I hadn't really talked about those films that way, so thanks for opening it up to do this. This was Pat's idea to do our top Halloween films to rank, you guys, and we'd love to know your thoughts. I'm sure you guys are going to disagree with both of our lists. Probably
we're definitely down with that. Yeah,
probably very passionately, but that's the best part, is like these films open us up to be able to talk about fun stuff like this around Halloween. And that's why it's my favorite holiday. Like movies like this, franchises like this, you can talk to your friends about it. And I don't know, it's what keeps me going and back to see these films whenever they have a new one pop up.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's no wrong order for these movies. Maybe, number one's kind of guaranteed at the top, but I mean, if you have Resurrection at number 2, I'm totally cool with that. Cause like I said, I'm happy to watch that movie anytime. So, and see Busta do the roundhouse kick to the face.
All right, well, I'm going to say goodbye, and we're going to follow up with another episode right after this. But I wanted to just say thanks, Pat, and thanks to the audience for listening. Have the happiest Halloween, you guys, and be safe. But also share with us your favorite Halloween movies. Let us know what you're watching. This is the fun community part of the Remainders that we enjoy so much. And Pat, talk to you next about Haxon.
Darren, we'll be talking about Halloween for years to come, I feel. Awesome talking to you.
You too, boss. All right. Signing off. Remainders. Have a great Halloween, everybody.